Good morning, everyone. We are live. We are live. My name is Buchilo, and we are live right now on the Leadership Standard. If you are here with me, please signify by posting something on the comment section. If you are here with me, please signify by making a comment so I know that at least you can hear me clearly before we start. It's going to be an explosive day, so I look forward to everyone joining. So yeah, please join me. Let's start the leadership standard. We are live. Alrighty. So thank you everyone for coming today. My name is Buchilo. I am your host on the leadership standard today. And on the leadership standard, we pretty much talk about the issues that border on the leadership of Nigeria and the leadership of Africa, and sometimes we go into the world and we talk about international law, international politics, international leadership. Those are the areas of concern that we focus on this particular broadcast. Thank you very much, Anayo, for for concurring with me that you can hear me loud and clear. So today I want to just expose some few things going on in the leadership structure of Nigeria and let everyone see the reason why Nigeria is currently at a loggerheads with success. You see, Nigeria has gotten to a point where, for Nigeria to work, it has to break. And for most people don't understand why. But the thing is, when you see the structure of Nigeria, you see that Nigeria is structured to fail. It's not structured to succeed as it stands right now. All right, unless there is a major restructuring that takes place, or unless there's a major breakup as well. That happens. Looking at all the factors that have played in the past with so many insecurities, so many kidnappings, so many corruption, and the list is endless. And rather than these people facing time, they are out there still running for elections. They are out there still participating in everyday life. And these are people that are constantly constituting nuisance to the people that they are expected to lead. All right. They are constantly constituting nuisance to the people that they're expected to lead. All right. And when you look at it, you understand that the people that you are expected to lead are the people that you have been put into positions, of leadership. But rather than you helping them solve their problems, you are stealing their collective wealth. You are stealing their collective wealth. You are buying houses in Dubai. You're buying houses in Seychelles. You're buying houses in Luxembourg. You're buying houses everywhere in the world. You are storing all this money in European banks, in JP Morgan Chase. You're storing all this money everywhere in the world. But you're not understanding the fact. Good morning, Revolutionary. You're not understanding the fact that people are suffering, people are dying, and there are consequences to this. People are dying. And the thing about it is that now it is spreading. The effect of all of this is spreading. And constantly, people are expected to just vote every 4 years and imagine that their problems are going to get solved. But their problems are not going to get solved. The only way the problems will get solved is if something is done about it. If something is done about it. And from the way things are going right now, nothing is done about it. There's just been a constant play where you continue to see the same effect. Have you guys understand something? That this is the reason why the government of Nigeria is constantly fighting the indigenous people, ensuring that they don't have a say to their own properties, to their own land. And unfortunately, that is not going to work, because now you can see now in this issue of Boko Haram. Now, Boko Haram has appointed a new governor in Borno, and they say they are going to launch more attacks in the coming weeks. said they're going to launch more attacks in the coming weeks. So you can see that currently this is another faction of Boko Haram, and they're already expanding their network, expanding their attacks into different parts of Borno State, and they are going to do more attacks in the coming weeks. And this new governor, Assam, was said to have replaced Onmet Ma, also known as Muhammad, after he was eliminated along with some of his fighters in a rival clash with the Islamic State of the West African province. Are you seeing exactly what? Are you reading what I'm saying? These people are expanding to the point that they are even fighting themselves. They are fighting themselves. And this appointment was announced by Boko Haram, the overall leader of the terror group leading the Mandara Hills in Goza local government area of Borno State. Ngude is one of the notorious terror leaders of the Boko Haram and has been on the most wanted list of the Nigerian military for the past 6 years. He is also rumored to have been killed with the troops of the special forces, dismantled the stronghold, killing some of his fighters and forcing many other jihadists to surrender to the Nigerian troops. Findings from some of the surrendered insurgents revealed that Ndude was still alive, noting that during the deadly encounter with troops, he escaped through the axis of Sinana Goshe, Barawa, and Agaba before crossing over to Cameroon axis, where he's currently hiding. The new appointment and leadership of Amir Hassan was expected to trigger a wave of planned and directed attacks against soft civilian and military positions, especially in the route between Banki to Goza. As you can see, they're expanding. They're expanding. That they are even having organizational structures that give them the power to appoint governors. But rather than the Nigerian government to be focused on its efforts to fight these insurgents and these terrorists, they are focused on trying to proscribe the indigenous people of Biafra, Yoruba nation, as terrorists. They're trying to change the narrative of what exactly is going on in the country. They are pardoning terrorists, they are forgiving terrorists on one hand, but they're also spending money trying to lobby international organizations to declare IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra, as terrorist organizations in the world. But we know that's not true. We know that's not true. Because the Nigerian government can be out deceive people or deceive the international community, saying that the indigenous people of Biafra are blowing up pipelines and reducing production, when he himself is the Minister of Petroleum. He's expected to oversee the oil and gas sector, but right now he's saying that the indigenous people of Biafra, they're the ones blowing up their oil pipelines and they're the ones reducing production, causing Nigeria to fall short of its daily quota. Despite appointing himself as petroleum minister, he has recorded one of the nation's worst energy crises, evidenced by acute fuel scarcity and more than 100% hike in cooking gas prices. As you can see, people are suffering. People are suffering constantly by the effect of this failed leadership. And I want you all to understand that the essence of this show is to expose failure of leadership. The failure of leadership that transpires in the Nigerian government, the failure of leadership that transpires in the business sector, the failure of leadership that transpires in the political sector, even in the religious sector. There's been a constant failure, and even in the home. Because we have to understand that we are playing our own part in ensuring that there is leadership and structure in the world. Because the world needs strong leadership. It needs leadership that is empathetic, leadership that is focused, and leadership that knows how to solve problems. And not leadership that is out there trying to put blames on everybody. Leadership that knows how to solve problems, practical problems. That is exactly what this program is all about. Because we have seen people succeed in nation building, in fighting corruption, in fighting gas flaring, in fighting, incompetence. We've seen nations succeed. So I don't see the reason why we cannot replicate what they've done, or we cannot see how we can make it better. What people are asking for are very simple: basic human rights, basic human right, and basic things that will give them the development that they desire. What exactly is so hard to provide these things? And because there is a failure of leadership, people are forced to leave their countries of birth and become migrants in another country that might even have harsh climates, in another country that might even have, racism, in another country that might even have a different language. And you see families are broken up that way. Families are broken up. So there's a breakup of the family structure because of failures of leadership. We cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It doesn't make any sense. It's madness. How can you be blaming IPOB for pipeline vandalization and reduction of production? Do you know how much they are stealing? Do you know how much these people are stealing from this pipeline and this oil money? Do you know how much these people are stealing from this money? Do you know how many people? Do you know how many of these people that are in these positions of power that have oil wells? Some of them have over 22 oil wells. Some have 30 oil wells. So many of these people. So tell me exactly how this is now the fault of these indigenous people of Biafra. Tell me how it is the fault of the indigenous people of Biafra that they're the ones blowing up pipelines. I think it's laughable. Because if you're doing your job very well, you will be able to get the job done. A cooking gas that was sold for 300 to 350 in 2015, before Buhari assumed office, is now selling for 1,000 naira. Gas, cooking gas, 1,000 naira per kg. So a lot of people are questioning his leadership. And I am one of those people that are questioning his leadership. Because obviously, he doesn't have control of what he's doing. So they asked him a question about the crisis, and he was blaming IPOB for vandalizing pipelines, and that the foreign nations should designate IPOB a terrorist group. So I don't understand exactly where this man is getting his numbers from. I don't understand where this man is saying that it's IPOB that is blowing up pipelines. How is IPOB blowing up pipelines and reducing production? How? How are they the ones blowing up? The thing about it is God is just using this man to promote IPOB. At the end of the day, God is using him to promote IPOB. Because ever since he has been on the attack of Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB, that's the way IPOB has been gaining more relevance. Because when you have left your job as a leader to find solutions, and you are now chasing shadows, then you are now confused. You are confused. And that is what this man is doing right now. He's chasing shadows. I'm going to move on to another story because the man in Aso Rock doesn't know what to say. Now let's talk about. I want to talk on this story. Now, Nigeria is ordering Facebook, Twitter, and others to provide information on harmful accounts. The federal government has announced new regulations for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other internet platforms operating in Nigeria. Nigeria's National Information Technology Development Agency released the regulations in a draft copy of the Code of Practice 5 months after a 6-month ban on Twitter. The conditions include opening an office in Nigeria, the appointment of a country rep, compliance with applicable tax obligations, giving the government access to manage prohibited content, and respect for Nigerian laws and the national culture and history. A draft copy of the Code of Practice mandates internet platforms to act promptly in obeying court order, directing a platform to provide any information under its domain or any assistance to any authorized government agency for the purpose of carrying out an investigation, combating cybercrime, or prosecuting an offense. Well, pretty much what they're trying to say is that Twitter is agreeing on 5 conditions. Before lifting the ban on Twitter, the Nigerian government said Twitter agreed to 5 conditions it is imposing on other social media platforms. While the conditions are yet to be fully implemented, the government says social media platforms must comply with the new code for continued operation in Nigeria. According to the code, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, and others must provide information to authorities on harmful accounts, suspected botnets, troll groups, and other coordinated disinformation networks, and delete any information that violates Nigerian law within an agreed time. And they must also provide a comprehensive compliance mechanism to avoid publication of prohibited content and unethical behavior. Well, the point is they are just trying to police social media. They are just trying to police social media. As you can see, all they are trying to do is police social media. When you think about it, you understand that at the end of the day, all they are trying to do is police social media. They want social media to be used for their own personal desire, whatever desire that they want for it to be used. And they want to cajole all these other foreign governments to force them to do their bidding. That is exactly what they want to do. They are trying to cajole foreign governments, foreign organizations to force them to do their bidding. And that is not how it works. You can't be out there trying to say harmful. How do you even look at how broad this law is? Do you see how broad the regulation is? The regulation is so broad to provide information to authorities on harmful accounts. What makes up harmful accounts? What exactly is harmful accounts? But that's exactly how the Nigerian government reasons. They want to block free speech. They want to block everything that they can block, and free expression. They are blocking everything they can block so that people will not have the freedom to express themselves. People will not have the freedom to showcase their talents. People will not have the freedom to, be themselves. People will not have the freedom to talk about how they feel. So any account they see, oh, this one is a harmful account. What makes it a harmful account? It's all a means to silence you. You might think that they're attacking one person today, but at the end of the day, it's a means to silence you at the end of the day. That's exactly what it is. So that is what is happening. So I want you to understand, for those of you that don't know what the failure of leadership can do, I want you to see what the failure of leadership can actually do. This is where someone is living in Lagos. You can see where someone is living. You can see where somebody is living. That is someone's house. That is someone's house. That's what Nigeria is doing to so many people, cutting them from basic human rights, basic human dignity, stripping them of their basic dignity and basic human rights. Don't be surprised. Do not be surprised. There are many more people that are living like this, and this is a norm, a normal circumstance in Nigeria. In Nigeria, is a normal circumstance. People suffering and smiling. People are suffering and smiling, continuously frustrated, confused. They become online beggars. They become all types of degraded and suffering all types of sicknesses, and just they don't even know where to start from. This is what the Nigerian government, the Nigerian leadership is providing to its people, to its citizens. Now everybody has to bear the responsibility of helping the next person, because you cannot trust the government to do it for you. So I say we have to wake up and tell ourselves the truth. Do you continue to live in a country that has no regard for your personal life, that has no regard for your human dignity? Or do you want to wake up and realize that before you know it, there is no more time? You have been living the same life over and over again, having the same experience over and over again. Issues of no light, issues of insecurity, issues of corruption, issues of failure to provide basic needs, no medical healthcare service, the same problems repeated over and over again. Even the Supreme Court of Nigeria, is facing it. The Supreme Court of Leadership, they themselves had to cry. They wrote a letter accusing the Nigerian Chief Justice Tanko of corruption and for diversion of allowances and welfare packages. The justices reiterated the fact that they are serving this country diligently and to the best of their ability, and as such, they deserve the best compared to how they are being treated by the present Chief Justice of Nigeria. Even the justices of the Supreme Court had to cry. The justices reminded the Chief Justice of Nigeria of the fact that they resolve disputes between the executive and the legislature, including all manner of disagreements between governments and individuals, and how it would be a tragedy if the Nigerian public were to know that they are unable to resolve their own problems internally without going public due to neglect and lack of taking to corrections by the CJN. All right? So the CJN is not taking corrections. That's what they are saying. The justices demanded that the CJN act before it is too late as all efforts in the past to resolve their complaints have yielded no results. The justices recall that the CJN reluctantly called a justices meeting on the 23rd of March 2022 after several persistent requests to hold a meeting. Reluctantly. So they were begging him to hold a meeting or something of that sort to resolve their complaints, and he reluctantly agreed to a meeting after several persistent requests. So they were literally begging the man. They were literally begging this man for help. They were like, Baba, come and have a meeting with us. So we are dying here. Before the man was like, now, wow, you people will not let me rest. Then he finally agreed to have the meeting with them. This is Supreme Court justices. The Supreme Court justices are like, they're like presidents. In in a normal country, the Supreme Court justices, the president, and the Senate president, they're all meant to be sitting on the same level of authority based off checks and balances. So the justices recall that at their meeting, they tabled and discussed their demands for accommodation, vehicles, electricity tariff, diesel. They cannot even provide lights they are still supplying diesel. Even in the Supreme Court, supply of diesel, electricity tariff. You see what they're battling over there? They don't have house. They don't have vehicles. They don't have diesel to run their generators. They don't even have internet. And there's even epileptic supply. Supreme Court. Now, wow. Epileptic supply, even in the Supreme Court. Wow. This one is Abuja. For those who are fine asking, Abuja. They said that, my Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria, with the entire Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, carefully reviewed the state of affairs in this court and unanimously resolved to write formally and draw the attention of the Lordship to our demands. As a preamble, let it be clearly understood that the resolution to write to your Lordship was reached with all sense of responsibility. We're serving this country, blah, blah, blah. We're responsible citizens of this country. It would be a tragedy if the Nigerian public were to know that we're unable to resolve our own problems internally without going public. The decision to write to you formally must be seen by your Lordship as an effort on our part to preserve the dignity of the judiciary and the respect accorded to us by the government and people of Nigeria. God forbid the day that our internal issues become a matter of national discourse. Your Lordship must therefore act before it's too late. My Lord may recall that you reluctantly called a justices meeting on the 23rd of March 2022 after several persistent requests to hold the meeting. Imagine. Reluctantly. Our new justices were never introduced formally in a meeting, as has been the practice from the date of their swearing in. They don't even introduce them. They just said, you've been hired, figure it out. They didn't even introduce them with their new colleagues. Now, your Lordship may also recall that at the meeting, we tabled and discussed our demands on accommodation, vehicles, supply, electricity tariff, supply of diesel, internet service, epileptic supply, electricity to the courts. We also raised the issue of the failure of the Honorable Chief Justice to carry the justices along in managing the affairs of the courts, the deteriorating condition of services generally, and the state of the litigations department. So things are going bad. Things are going bad in the Supreme Court. They are hungry. I'm telling you, this thing is bad. They don't understand how bad things are. The Supreme Court of Nigeria is now hungry. They are crying for help. They don't have money for diesel. They don't have internet. They don't have lights. They don't have vehicles. And even if they don't have vehicles, maybe the vehicles are bad or whatever it is. The Welfare Committee submitted to your Lordship request for review of electricity allowance because of the increase in electricity tariff nationwide. The Welfare Committee also submitted our request for diesel allowance because of the epileptic electricity supply, the astronomical hike in the price of diesel, and the fact that justices require electricity to work at home. The committee also requested for the restoration of our monthly internet allowance because we require uninterrupted internet service in order to have access to materials online to write our judgments. Your Lordship received and ignored these demands. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They ignored the demands. This man was, the Chief Justice of Nigeria ignored it since 24th of March. Since 24th March 2020, we're in June. He ignored the demands. At the Justices meeting, we intimated Your Lordship that some justices sworn on the 6th day of November 2020 were yet to be accommodated by the court. Your Lordship promised to take up the issue that day. To date, Your Lordship has not taken any step in this direction. With regard to justices' vehicles, several are due for replacement, while the new justices have not received their full complement of vehicles till date. Moreover, some of the vehicles supplied to the justices are either refurbished or substandard. Your Lordship has not taken steps to address this issue. At the meeting, we also discussed training. In the past, justices were nominated to attend 2 or 3 foreign workshops. Well, now they say there are no training funds. It's a long thing. I don't want to read too much of it, but the point is they are suffering. They are suffering. You know, I know the way it is. You know, they always need more money, but they are suffering, and that's just the nature of the Nigerian way right now. Everyone is suffering. Even the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Chief Justices of Nigeria are suffering. You know, they are really, really suffering. I want to show you another story. And this ties back to what was initially said in how the Supreme Court justices are suffering in Nigeria. This is another one. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Tanko, takes wife, children abroad for workshops, but blocks us from overseas training. As you can see, corruption in high places. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, has been alleged to be junketing abroad for workshops with his wife, children, and backroom staff, while blocking other justices of the Supreme Court from overseas training. In a protest memo sent to the CJN by the angry Supreme Court judges, the justices demanded to know what happened to their legitimate entitlements under Tanko. The justices of the Apex Court in Nigeria said their annual foreign training meant to enhance the capacity building for the country's judicial process has been blocked by Tanko. Sahara reporters had on June 14 reported that the judges also protested over poor welfare packages, which they claimed had hindered their jobs. The Apex Court, they said, has been receiving 110 billion yearly since 2018, despite the increase in its size and responsibilities. In their letter, the main issue put forward by the justices in their letter through a welfare committee were non-replacement of poor vehicles, accommodation problems, lack of drugs at the Supreme Court clinic, epileptic electricity supply to the Supreme Court, increase in electricity tariff, no increase in the allowances for diesel, lack of internet services to residents and chambers. And the others are internal problems, including non-signing of amended rules of court for almost 3 years, and sudden stoppage of 2 to 3 foreign workshops and training per annum for justices, and no provision of qualified legal assistance. As you can see, they are all suffering. So, as we tell ourselves the truth, let's be reminded that the failure of leadership in Nigeria is spreading its net, spreading its tentacles to everywhere. It's affecting the oil and gas sector. It's also affecting the judiciary, because there's corruption on every level, and everyone is just pocketing everything for their family, for their wives, for their just it's just sad. But the Supreme Court, I don't know if you guys understand what the Supreme Court is, but Supreme Court, they're the final courts in the land. It's like when you say Supreme Court justice, it's like saying the president of the country. When you see a Supreme Court justice, it's like seeing the president of the country. Imagine a president of the country begging, another person to provide him with light and water and internet. These are things they don't. Other Supreme Court places in the world, they don't even know that they have problem with those things because they are thinking about other things. They're thinking about how would they benefit the people themselves. But these Supreme Court justices, they're having problems even with themselves. They are suffering. So if they are suffering, how are they going to help other people? Is that not the same thing we are saying with the police? They're not getting money. They're not getting their rent paid. They're not getting salaries paid. They're owing them salaries. Is that not the same thing we're saying with the military? Is that not the same thing that we're saying with all these other organizations? People are just taking what belongs to every other person and putting it in their pockets. And now the Supreme Court justices are crying. Anyways, it seems like this is where everybody, at the end of the day, everybody will figure it out by themselves. If you don't want to open your eyes and see what's going on, the truth will finally come out. But I want to thank everyone for being here today. Sorry about that. As you can see, there's been a lot going on. But we'll always be coming over here to talk to you about the failure of leadership going on in Nigeria and what can be done to remedy it. What can be done to solve this problem? And most people will tell you that Nigeria needs to divide and break up. And I feel that is a very, viable solution. Because at the end of the day, back in the days, even when Nigeria was restructured, the nations were moving at their own pace. Each nation was moving at its own pace and growing at its own pace. But now people are suffering and nobody knows the answer to any of these problems. So you can see Supreme Court is facing it. So, it's no longer a problem of the common man. That, this is the problem of the masses. They're the only ones that will face it. Even the high and mighty will face it. Even those that live in glass houses will still face it. So, Nigeria is not immune to anybody. We have to pray and ask God that the people that are holding Nigeria bondage, it breaks their hands. And people that are holding other nations in Nigeria, Biafra nation, Yoruba nation bondage, it breaks their hands and sets us free from all these criminal elements, from all these terrorists, from all these criminal elements that want to kill everybody and steal and destroy. Sets us free from them. That's the prayer we're praying. Because at the end of the day, freedom is coming, and freedom will come for everyone. And not only freedom, but justice will also come. Because it's one thing to get freedom, it's another thing to get justice after that freedom. That is the prayer. We'll get freedom and we'll also get justice. Until then, I want to thank you all for being a part of my show. Please remember to subscribe, remember to follow, remember to like, remember to share, and keep spreading the message of love and hope and leadership all around the world. Positive leadership is sacrificial leadership. Positive leadership is developmental leadership. That is the kind of leadership that we are preparing for the next generation. God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday.